Welcome back to my channel Conquer the Fear. In this video, we are going to explain you about how you can upgrade your existing application from Java 8 version to Java 17. Now, if your applications are running on old systems, that is Java 8, and if you want your applications to be upgraded to 17, this is the right video because I'm going to explain you all the important features which were introduced post Java 8 and also how you can upgrade those particular features and what are the changes you need to do in order to make your code compatible with Java 17. So watch this video till the end. Remember, upgrading to something greater than the current version is always complex. So I will like to make this particular video very simple so that you can easily migrate from your existing application to the latest version. Now I have noted all these simple steps how you can upgrade. So there has been lot of revisions. We'll go through all the versions which are there now. The if your goal is to go from 8 to 17, this is going to be a very significant leap because there are several major releases has been occurred. And if you see the releases from after 8, you will see there is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17. So Java 17 is a long term support version, so that is going to be a target version, and all the applications whatever you have will be migrated. Now let's break down the step by step process. What are the new features, what are the benefits, and what are the necessary changes you need to do in order to upgrade your application. The first steps is that you need to identify, okay, or do a planning of assessment where you need to first identify like all the dependencies, all the libraries, frameworks, the versions, and their compatibility with the Java 17. Now this is very crucial if you are using the libraries, which because the old libraries might not work with the latest version. So first identify that part, then check out all the deprecated or the removed API. Now Java 9 and the subsequent versions have removed some of the several APIs. That is, we have Java E modules like JAX-WS, Corba, etc. Nashcon, Java script engine, applet API, the RMI activation. So make sure you have this particular noted up. Then you can review your build tools. Let's say you are using Maven, you have to upgrade that to the latest version that is compatible with the 17 or later. So you have to upgrade it to most likely 3.8 or greater than that of Maven. Now you have to undergo a testing. So you are the dedicated environment where you are trying to upgrade the testing side. You have to upgrade, you have to identify that particular environments, what exactly the version it is there. Then consider migrating. Now for your large application, it might be very beneficial to first upgrade to 11 and then ultimately to 17, addressing the issues in a smaller increments part. So don't go directly from Java 8 to directly 17. First try to do the upgrade to 11 and then ultimately to the 17. So always take the step by step process. Second, we will look into the update of the JDK. So now we have to first install that particular JDK, the development kit, so that you take it from the correct vendor. Okay, so there is an Oracle is there, Open JDK is there. You have different providers. Once you update, then you can actually upgrade your IDE as well. So whether you are using IntelliJ, Eclipse, or Visual Code, that should definitely support 17. So you update your IDE as well with the latest version as well, which is compatible. Now you must be having that particular their own IDE site. Visit that site and check out the version compatibility. Post that, you have to set your environment variables. Now the moment you install the latest version, that path will be upgraded. So it might be change with the current versions. There might be a different folder structure, there might be different naming convention. So just set that particular path to the Java 17 where you have installed it. Now you have to upgrade the build system and the dependencies. Now Maven we already discussed, so you have to update the pom.xml, which is going to be updating the compiler version plugin versions, and you have to set the release to tag to 17. If you are using Gradle, then you have to follow this particular step. Update the dependencies. Now there must be some removed models which we already discussed, like JAX-XB and the JAX-WS. So you make sure will need to add them as an external dependency, like Jakarta XML binder is there, binder API is there. Now we have other third-party libraries and the framework, like you have Spring Boot is there, Hibernate is there, where you have to check for the compatible explicit version. So this might also involve some version changes over there. Now, once you do this, then you can go to the refactoring and the code changes. You can start replacing by removing the API with the modern API with the modern alternatives. Your Java module system has been introduced, so you can use your strong encapsulation like in the JDK internals. If it was using your internal API, then you might encounter some illegal access errors. So you might sometime need to work around, like add open JVM arguments, or but long term solution is to remove this particular dependencies on the internal API. Remove the depreciated features, or you have to refactor the code actually for that. Now there is a new language feature which is an optional but not recommended. I mean, it's an optional, so you can migrate it or not. Then take the advantages of that, but it will make your code little bit cleaner, more concise, and other things. So you make sure you do that. Modularizing your application. Now, if you take the advantages of the Java module system, it will involve in creating your one file, that is module info, and you have to explicitly define your dependencies. So this is going to be a larger undertaking over here. Post your code changes has been done, then you have to do the testing and the validation. So thorough testing has to be done. Make sure you conduct your comprehensive unit. You do the integration testing, performance testing on your application. Then also you do the static analysis, like you have sonar cube related things, spot bugs, PMD, to identify the potential issues. Now what happens when the once you add some new code changes, there might be a possibility of new issues being introduced, or there may be some suggestion that needs to be changed according to your company policies. Then comes the runtime profiling. You can have this particular Java flight recorder to monitor your performance and identify some regression issues over there. After your testing has been done and the validation, you are completely sure that there is no problem at the runtime when your application is running. Then we'll go for the deployment. So the deployment and on the environment, like you can make use of the different servers, dockers, images, CI/CD pipeline. So upgrade that systems which are to be configured to the Java 17. Now there is a strategy which we can implement using the phased rollout. We can either use blue green deployment, or we can actually use the canary deployment approach, where you have to where it will be minimizing your risk of being rolling out. Then we have the monitoring. So you have to install or upgrade your systems closely for monitoring this particular applications. You have to error logs and other things after your deployment has been done. Now, why have you chosen a 17 as a version? Because let's discuss that there are a number of benefits when you are upgrading your older systems or older version to the latest version. Definitely, the first thing is long-term support. So, as Java 8 is an older version, the support is definitely going to be removed up, and Java 17 is the latest version as compared to the Java 8. Yeah, definitely the long-term support will be available, and you will have updated patches for it, security patch for it from the Oracle, or if you have any different vendors. So this will give you a stability, and you will need to if it will need less frequent updates after this. Another thing is that it is going to enhance your performance. Now there are some significant advanced changes with respect to the garbage collection like G1 and ZGC. So it will have that particular reduced pause time, battery management, better memory management. It has got the overall improved responsiveness in your application. So especially when you're developing the large application, there are some Java optimization which are done as part of the Java 17. There are some JVM related things which has been introduced to make your startup times much more faster and execution to be more efficient. There are some vector APIs which is going to take advantages of your CPU capabilities. Then comes there is some improved security aspects, like we have a very stronger encryption and TLS support. We have some modular systems which has been introduced, so there is a stronger encapsulation when it comes to the internal JDK APIs. And then we have the outdated components, so we have to remove those so that you can keep your system intact and less prone to the attacks over there. Then comes the level enhancement, the language level enhancement. So there might be features that has been introduced, like more concise, more readable way to maintain and improve the developer performance and the productivity. Now there are tools like IDE and which is going to support the latest Java version 17, and with enhanced debugging tools and the profiling, and you can build process over there. Then you can integrate with the modern frameworks. We have like Spring Boot, Quarkus, Jakarta. So it is going to take the advantages as you go, because as and when new features being added, you definitely get the leverage of that part. Then there are long-term supports. So Java 17 being a long-term support, it is going to have an active community. There is a lot of tech or documentation. There is a lot of learning resources available over there. Now we'll discuss all the features which has been introduced post Java 8 and what are the things you need to upgrade. Now Java 8, it was long back on 2014 it was released, and now if you compare Java 17, it was released in 21. So there is almost a 7 years gap. There is lot of new features has been introduced and major release has been come. So the first we'll check in the language related features. Now if you see, there is a where local variable inference. So this is going to allow you to declare your variables without being explicitly stating their types. So it is going to let the compiler infer it. So the boilerplate code is reduced and you have a lot more readability over here. Now just for an example, if you see the prior to Java 17, before upgrading, we used to do like this, right? We have this particular type in for over here, but after this we can actually simply define this particular where mess, and then it is will implicitly infer that part. Then comes the switch expressions. So in Java 12, there are some extended switch statement where it accepts the expression. So it is now going to allow the return value as well. Now switch construct is going to be much more readable, much more concisable, and also it is going to remove the need of break statement in lot of cases. Now, if you see prior to this, you used to define this particular switch over here and then define those, and then there was a break over here. But if you see here, there is no, lot of changes. If you see, the same thing has been achieved in similar way using this particular uh, switch expression. Now you see here, you have default as well. Then comes in Java 13, if you see there is a text block. Now this is one of the simple way of working with multi-line strings. Now it is going to allow you to define them in a triple line quotes. So what happens after this? There is no need to explicitly escape the sequence character and also concatenation on that part. So earlier we used to write the plus sign over here like this, and then write this, and in your multi-line we used to write like this. But post this particular text block being introduced, if you see here, this is simply in one single statement you are able to make that with this particular three quotes over here. So everything, the functionality will be same only, just there has been advancement over here. Now record has been introduced. Now this is quite important feature. The Now you can declare the immutable data classes. Now the compiler will automatically generate the constructor for you, access methods, equals and hash code, and the string to string implementation. Now if you have heard of Lombok, that's a library, external library, which is similar to this, but I cannot say exactly similar, but it runs on the same principle. So it will automatically generate those particular constructor and other access methods if you want, whatever required, but you have to explicitly annotate with that instead of writing that particular code over there. Now here if you see, prior to this you used to define this particular variable, then the constructor, and then the getter setters, etc., and you to override the equals and hash code methods. Now here you see it's how simple it is. This is only just one line for lot of this particular boilerplate code. We used to write it over here. So you have to just write this. The rest everything will be taken care by the Java. Then comes the pattern matching of instance, which is introduced in Java 14, the instance of. So this is going to type check the and cast for different patterns variables which are declared directly within the instance of. Now if you see there, if you see object is equal to hello, now you have to check that instance is either of string or not, and then you can perform that particular activity over the rest of the business logic. But here if you see, instead of directly writing here in the second line, everything can be taken in this particular single line itself. So here you'll see it is in a much more readable and a concise way, and also the boilerplate code is reduced over here. Then comes an important features, sealed class. Now if you see, this is going to, let's say you have a class or an interface which we want to restrict with the other classes or the interfaces that it can extend or implement, so that no other chunk or other any of this particular class can implement that. So it is going to give you a much more granular control over who is going to override or extend it and implement it, and thus you can maintain your hierarchy over there. So it is going to help in your designing aspect when you are designing your application. Now if you see the here, if you see in Java sealed, if you see there's a sealed class, then it is going to show up which are the permitted classes it can be implemented from. Now there are some API in the JVM enhancement, like we already discussed, like the project Jigsaw, which is for the modular system where you have better modularity, encapsulation, and there is a reliable configuration for your big applications. Now this is going to be a very fundamental change, so make sure you do that. Then we have a JShell, which is an read eval print evaluate loop. So this is for experimenting your code snippets. We have some HTTP client API. So there was an support of HTTP2 and the WebSocket. There are some new string methods which has been introduced, like is blank, line, strip, strips leading, etc. Then we have a garbage collector, that is that one. So there is a scalable low latency garbage collector which was designed for your application to extremely have that particular low pause time, maybe less than 10 milliseconds for your and even with where you have a large heap size. Now there is a garbage collector Shinoda, so this is going to reduce your pause time garbage collector over there. Now we have different pseudo random generated, we have vector API, then the strong encapsulation, JDK internals, we have applets depreciation done here, we have Nash on, JavaScript removal, we have removed the RMI activation, and then we have improved some null pointer exceptions. Messages, like we can provide some helpful details in the stack actually, so it will indicate that what exactly was null over there. Now changes that are you need to do in your application when you are trying to move from 8 to the 17. So we already discussed, we have to check for the compatibility challenges. So we'll check for this particular JAX core by. So How we can do that, I'm going to explain that. So if you want to remove your modular some modules of the API, let's say some JAXB, so what you can do, you can have this particular dependency added over there. Then if you are, let's say you are removed in Java 17, so you have to simply run your JavaScript directly in your JVM using the Nash one. So you have some alternative like Gradle and JavaScript. So if your application was relying on the very old technology, you need to redesign your application along with that part now. So there are various front-end applications like React, Angular, etc. So you make sure you upgrade that. Now you have to remove the JAX part. So it was separated from Java 11 after the Java 11. So make sure you add that as a separate dependency. So it is not going to be part of that particular JDK. Then we have, we already discussed the JDK internals. Like in earlier, you have, Sun and MSC star or other packages. It is going to break that particular right now. The solution is you need to add, or you need to make the temporary workaround. You can make use of the add export or the add open JVM arguments. So that, but it is not going to guarantee in your future releases. But yeah, you can avoid this with this particular like this. So if you see here, you can have this particular thing. But this is the warning, I would say. Make sure you don't use it. Then, as we already discussed, the third party compatibility has to be checked up. So many libraries which might was supporting Java 8 has been upgraded themselves to Java 17 to support that. So check that. So we have Spring, Hibernate, Apache. So check those particular versions there. Check their documentation as well. Now build tool we already discussed. We can actually add like this over here, and the release we can directly mention in that particular thing. So the Maven plugin has to be updated over there. Then refactoring this particular new language related features, like we have where, switch, text blocks and other thing, and then the Java 9 features over there. Okay, so that's all in this particular video. I hope I was able to explain you each in depth how you can move your applications which are in Java 8 to Java 17, and we discussed what are the different features has been introduced, what are the things you need to upgrade that particular application, what are the steps, and how we can step by step do that. So if this video was helpful, please share it with the needy people. Also don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching.